Often, I think a lot of us as Christians, we get stagnant, we get complacent. Whereas when you hit rock bottom, the only change I can make is depend on God.
It can be very struggling to post about a message that needs to be preached if I'm not the greatest at it. I'm not sanctified. I'm never going to be sanctified until I'm with Jesus, but I'm working towards it.
How did you come up with the Thief of Boredom?
The idea to me is like I'm stealing your boredom.
So you literally did that to me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so,
I stole ya.
We're consuming so much content, we're numb to experience. You don't experience quietness hardly ever.
A few years ago, I started going away camping, turned my phone off, and it's crazy. I can hear him so clearly. I'm listening to the ocean and I feel like it's him singing.
If you have information that can help somebody, it's your moral obligation to actually help them. I know how to help videographers. I know how to help creative people, and I'm obligated to help them. So I love helping people break through those mental barriers that they built for themselves, thinking like, I can't do this.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And just before we get into it, if you have not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. We are so thankful for everyone who already has and everyone that just listens to this podcast. You know, this is a labor of love. We do this for you and to get the guests you want to see on this show. So please consider subscribing and enjoy today's episode.
All right, well, yeah, man. Welcome back to the Kingdom Creatives podcast.
Are we doing it?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, come on, mate. What are you doing?
You're gonna keep the guitar.
Yeah. No, yeah. This is gonna stay here for the pod. If you got any song requests, play it, and hopefully in 2 weeks' time when you're listening to this, somehow I know what you wanted and I'll play it.
That would be crazy.
That could be pretty
Or
cool.
you just do it in the next one.
Yeah. Okay.
A little bonus at the end of everything.
So for the next, all of the rest of your podcast, it's just going to be a song intro.
Yeah, pretty
of
much.
whatever somebody requests.
Requested by that person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, welcome back to the Kingdom Creators podcast. My name's Sam. This is Josh. We have a very special guest today, Mr. Dakota. Now, you got to say, like, help me with your last name.
My last name, it's Fiebranz.
Fiebranz.
Fiebranz. Yeah.
Is that German?
Fiebranz.
Yep.
Yeah, German. Yeah. I'm the only Dakota Fiebranz in the world, so very searchable. Very
Really?
easy.
Actually, the only one?
Yeah.
Because, like, Dakota is like a super US American name.
Yeah. And it's
then-
like most of my ancestors obviously from Germany, and Dakota is probably not a very common name in Germany. And there's just not that many of us in general.
Yeah.
I think like 40 of us came to the US.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, wow.
All in like Iowa, Wisconsin area.
Really? All in the Midwest?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, man, it's so cool to have you on. It's so random. We are in Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple
Show of hands, who's from Denver?
no one.
No.
2 Aussies and a Midwestern. I was about to say Missouri, but it's
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. You know, a lot of my international friends would look at America and go, everything in the middle is the same. You know?
Yeah. They're pretty similar, I will say. Most Midwest states, I feel like when you travel between them, you don't even know you're like in a different state. Except for Iowa. Iowa sucks.
Yeah, okay.
Not a fan of Iowa.
Shout out Iowa. No, but it's just cool that we got to hang out this morning, and we've held off on a couple of our chats because I wanted to save it for the pod. I remember seeing you first. I think I was just doom scrolling, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, and I was on the reels, and it was one of your early videos. So a few years ago, you were popular, but not as popular as your page has gotten now. And it was something about content or business or something. And I thought, I like this guy's aesthetic, and it
Was
looked
that
really.
when I had long hair?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, and then you were like by the stairway talking.
Okay.
I don't know, like which one that would have been.
You're going to pin the video? Exactly.
Yeah,
It was
we'll
about
find
this
it.
I'm trying to
topic.
think of what video that could be, but
It was a
anyway,
while ago,
continue,
man.
yeah.
And you weren't doing any Christian content or any anything like that. It was more like how to shoot with the perfect light. It was something like that. I can't remember exactly. I remember thinking, this is cool. Went on your profile, gave you a follow, and then kind of just seen you pop up every now and then since, kept that follow going. And then I was thinking while we were here in the US, I'm like, man, who, oftentimes we pray about who we'd love to have on, and also just who we think would be able to speak into, what we're doing. And then you came to mind. I thought, I'm just going to drop you a DM. And then
Here we are.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you want to come to Denver this Sunday? You're like, all right, let's do it. So, man, I'm just so grateful that you said yes. And I feel like just our brief meeting this morning, there's a great friendship here. And I just love what you're doing. I love how bold you are. I love, just your energy, your vibe,
Thank you, man.
the things that you bring, your massive muscles.
Huge.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
We'll hit the gym after.
But yeah, man, like just talk to us. Who is Dakota Fiebranz.
Fiebranz. Yeah.
Fiebranz.
You don't have to try
who
to
is
pronounce
Dakota
it.
Fiebranz? Like, tell us about your Instagram page, who you are. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess to speak into that too, I didn't start posting Christian content until January 31st of 2024. That was the first time I posted a Christian piece of content.
Okay.
And before that, I started Thief of Boredom, which is what most people will know me by, which is my personal brand, if you will, mostly because my name is not that searchable.
Okay.
Like no one's searching up Dakota Fiebranz. And I just kind of wanted to make something disconnected from myself, but still like, it's almost like my own company. So I kind of like disconnected it from my personal life.
How did you come up with the Thief of Boredom?
I don't know. I get asked that all the time.
Really?
And like,
It's cool.
The
Yeah, I like
idea
it.
to me is like, okay, I'm stealing your boredom. Right?
Okay,
like,
yeah, okay.
doom
Nice.
scrolling. So
Oh,
I'm stealing it
so
from
you literally did that to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so,
I stole ya.
Dude, it
on
worked.
brand,
Hit that.
yeah, I know.
Thank you.
But also like, I think of like the Thief of a Cross too. And so I kind of like combined them both. And anyway, so I started Thief of Boredom. It was pretty much April of 2023. And this was just after I'd quit my full-time job, which was my first job out of college. And originally it was just a place for me to make cool things that I didn't post on my other page.
Okay.
This was like my business page, and then this was my kind of side project thing.
Sure.
And I remember it was April 7th was like my first reel that went viral. So I started the account. I mean, it had been up as like a backup account, but I never really posted anything on it. Started posting, I think it was April 1st.
Okay.
By April 7th, my first video blew up. And I got like 700,000 views.
What video was that?
I remember the video. It's hard to explain, but I like backed out of my office and I like kneeled down, and it was like a match cut, and like the audio was like something like "wake up," and I think like the caption of the video had been like, "Make this video as symbolic as you want it to be," and just there was a ton of people commenting like what the video meant to them. It was just a 7-second video of like a person backing out of a room. And I say a person, even though it's me, because a lot of times in those videos that I was making, I viewed myself as more of like an actor rather than like, this is me, because the message of the video was beyond like myself.
Sure.
So a lot of people could relate to it, almost like putting themselves in my shoes. And so in this video, I kneeled down or whatever, and it kind of looked like I was outside of like a movie theater, like where the location changed to. So I had like a ton of people commenting, just saying like, I view it as a dude just got broken up with, and then he's going back to like the first place that they met. And there was just so many different people commenting like whatever this video meant to them. So I was like, all right, well, there's something here. Like people like these style of videos, whatever that might be. And I just kept making these different stories through transitions and different cinematic storytelling things that people really related to. But it was never anything Christian content.
Yeah, no.
This was all like more...
But you were a Christian at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never really shared my faith. It wasn't something that I was, embarrassed about.
Yeah,
it was
of
just
course.
more like my viewpoint on Christian content at that point was like, I didn't feel confident in like speaking the word or like spreading a pastoral message, because I'm not in that authority.
Sure.
And the last thing I want to do is spread a message that's not true. And so I kind of didn't pursue Christian content at the start, not only just because I just wasn't posting it and people were growing. Like my page grew from April, I think, into September. I had 50,000 followers. So in about 4 months, I gained 50,000 followers. Wow. And then I gained another 10K by the end of the year. So starting 2024, I had 60,000 followers.
Okay.
Then I started posting Christian content because I really wanted to bring my faith into my content.
Yeah.
I didn't know how. Like I said, I didn't think of myself as somebody speaking a word. So I kind of just combined this idea of like the cinematic storytelling with the Christian stuff. So I was praying about it. Like, how can I share my faith? What skills has God given me that I can differentiate myself from all these other Christian content creators?
So good, man.
Yeah. Not to say like those content creators suck or like
just
they
in
do
their
bad
lane.
stuff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like you're doing your thing. That's just not what I can do. Like, I'm not the person. I always say this, like when you think of a Christian content creator, you usually think of like the person setting up their camera in their car. It's like, so God shared this with me in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
It's like some revelation.
Yes, queen.
Yeah. The Valley Girl. And like, I just can't do that. It's not me.
It's not you.
Not saying like I couldn't do that. Like, I'm not capable of it. It's just, it's not me. And I didn't want to post that if it's not me. So I combined these talents that God had given me. And that first video, that Christian video that I posted, it was like a Google search. I'm searching on my phone. I think I don't even remember what the question is, which I probably should, but it was probably something about like how to deal with anxiety. So it's like a search bar. It's like, okay, how do I deal with anxiety? And it transitions from my phone into the Bible. And so it's taking these common questions that people have and answering it with scripture rather than like a Google search. To show you like the answer is in the word.
Yeah, wow.
You know, God can answer
awesome.
this. And that was like the ticket. It was like, this is what I want you to do. It got 1.2 million views. And
Wow.
that video
That was
alone,
the stamp of approval right there.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
God, all right, this is what you're doing.
Did you think it was going to pop off? Or
I had a good feeling about it.
Okay.
Just seeing what had worked in the past for me, the concept seemed like it would work.
yeah, cool.
But also, I had grown 60,000 followers without anybody, like, this wasn't like a faith-based audience.
Yeah, true.
So these were all just people who I'm introducing this new concept, which is a very like, you know, polarizing concept of God or not. And so I didn't know how it would be received. But the nice thing about Instagram and Reels in general too, I mean, it's kind of like a backhanded nice thing, is Instagram doesn't really share your videos to your actual followers.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
always
fully.
done.
Yeah.
So true.
It's like, whatever. It's just going out to people that don't know me anyway.
Yeah, true.
But so that video got 1.2 million views, just wildly crazy. So many people were sharing it.
Yeah,
That was the most popular video that I had made up until that point. And so there was something there.
So with that backlash, sorry, with that, you know, that step out to go, I'm going to share my faith. And like, that's a bold thing to do. I mean, like, I know you said like it was easy, but for a lot of people that would be tough to go, hey, I've gained an audience of 60,000 by doing just things that I'm good at. Now I'm going to go wildly in on the fact that I'm a Jesus follower.
Yeah.
And we know how the world can take that. Was there any like, did you have people unfollow? Did you have hit back? Like, what the heck are you trying to share, man? Like, don't Bible bash me. Did you have any of that?
It's very odd, and I don't know if this is God's protection or what, but I have had very little backlash.
Really?
In all areas. Like, I maybe get one hate comment every 3 months. It's wild.
Wow.
Which I've had some of my friends in the Christian space, they'll post something that goes viral, and it's just all comments like, get this Christian crap off my feed.
Yeah.
Very few times have I had that. So I didn't have, I mean, I'm sure I had a good amount of people unfollow me, but like at the same time, I'm not ever going to be ashamed of spreading God's word and losing followers. You know, like Jesus had 12 followers.
Yeah.
I think I can afford to lose followers.
Sure.
So I don't really mind losing followers, and at that point, like, my mindset was, I want to bring my faith into my content. Like at that point, I was making content that I didn't feel fulfilled with. I didn't think it was using my gifts to the best of their abilities. Definitely felt like I was making empty content.
Sure.
That just like
wasn't fulfilling.
I was just making it to make it, you know? Whereas now it's more like there's meaning behind what I make.
So cool, man.
And the people that share with me too, like, I look forward to seeing your posts every day. I wasn't getting those messages before because my posts meant nothing. Even though I'm like, all right, I'll teach you this new editing technique.
Yeah, that's
like,
when I followed you.
You know, like, here's how to start making digital products or whatever. And like, there's value in that, but at the same time, I'm like, there's nothing more valuable than God's word.
Oh, come on, man. He's preaching.
Yeah, what made
so
you
true.
actually want to do that? Like, what identified that it felt meaningless to you? Like, you got 50,000 followers, which people would kill for.
I think it's just the fact that so many people were doing it. You know, like, so many people are in that like content creation space, and I wanted to be like the guy that might be in the content creation space but isn't afraid to also share like Jesus. And so at that point, I'm like, I was still kind of back and forth between like, okay, teaching people content but also teaching people Jesus, or like showing them to Jesus,
pointing them towards him.
And then really what clicked to me was the fact that like nobody really teaches Christian content. Like, everyone teaches either content or Christian, or like you're one or the other. And there's definitely different ways that you can start creating content between being like an influencer or being more of like an authority, like teacher, info type of account. And at that point I didn't know what I was. Like, I didn't know if I'm like an influencer or if I'm like somebody that's teaching people how to actually make content. And so I just kind of like made my own path. Instead of like trying to fit into both of these or like dip my toe into both, I was just like, I'm just going to do this.
What you're doing is definitely unique, bro.
Yeah.
Like, there's not many people doing what you're doing in your style. Really, I haven't really. There maybe, I don't know.
There might be, yeah.
But it's unique.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, I recognize that. And I think, there's a lot of life that it's you hit gold at the right moment, right? Like, there's only one Alex Hormozy, right? Or there's only one this person.
Timing, man.
It's definitely timing. And like, obviously I've been blessed with that. But I think what stood out for me, or like what I've recognized of myself in the content space, is my ability to adapt. So like, originally when I built my audience, it was from these cinematic videos that were very storytelling based. And I had a large amount of people asking me like, how do you make your videos? How do you edit your videos? So there was a need in that market. But then eventually that kind of falls off. You start getting less views, start getting less followers, and you start to realize, well, I can't just keep doing this because it's not working.
True.
So then I adapted into a new form of content and a new form of content until like you keep trying things until it hits and then you run with it. And I've done that over and over and over again to pretty good rates. 60,000, I went from when I posted that first Christian piece of content for like the next 2 months straight, I pretty much posted every single day a new question with a new Bible transition. And they did ridiculously well, getting hundreds of thousands of views, multiple millions of views on multiple of them. I gained 100,000 followers, I want to say, in 2 months, in that 2 month span of posting. Yeah, so I went from...
Dude, you hit that algorithm pretty hard there, huh?
I went from 60,000 to I think 160,000.
That's crazy.
And then I gained another 20,000 gradually throughout the end of like 2024. And then again this month, the last pretty much 3 weeks, depending on whenever someone else is watching this, probably about a month. I've been posting carousels rather than reels, and I've gained more in this span of time than in any of those other spans of time.
Wow.
So I've gained 43,000 followers in the last 2 weeks off of just carousel posts. So I went from 180 to now 221.
So where are they landing, on the explore page?
Reels. Carousels are getting shared to the reels.
They are.
Yeah. If they do well enough, they'll get shown.
They
to
get
reels.
put to the reel. Yeah.
As long as you're using like a music track.
Yeah. True. Yes. You need a track. Okay. That's cool.
Wow.
So I want to backtrack soon, but while we're on this, how are you gaining this, do you think? I mean, I know you're just doing content that you love and you feel like the Lord's calling you to do, which is epic. And I want to talk about that. But on a practical sense, there's churches and ministries and people who want to grow their audience. How do you think it's working for you?
So for me, which there's definitely a difference in like personal brands versus like regular brands and companies. Although I feel like they're kind of meshing and blending together now, is the fact that people like following people. Like the personal brand, the reason that it works is because we relate to people. We relate to humans. We no longer, I mean, not that we don't, but celebrities are starting to get less and less enjoyable.
We're seeing the change.
And we're seeing more average people being consumed. I mean, like moms and dads, when they come home from work, they're sitting on their couch and they're scrolling on Instagram or they're scrolling on Facebook and they're following the people that they enjoy watching. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times my mom comes to me. She's like, oh, have you seen this one guy? I just love him. I love his content. And it's like just the regular dude, making content about his family or whatever. That's who we're watching. That's who we're consuming. And so that's kind of the route that I'm taking, is not necessarily being too much of an authority, but building my authority by like reflecting my life.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah. So a lot of the content you post that I've seen, I saw one the other day about, how I deal with my depression, how I deal with anxiety, and has mental health been something that you have, struggled with in the past? Like,
somewhat. It's never been like a massive struggle. Like, I've been blessed with a pretty, I don't want to say easy life. I don't want to say nobody has an easy life, but most people, like, we live in a broken world.
We go through things.
Live in a fallen world. Like, we're even with Instagram and social media, we're constantly, introduced to so much crap. There's so much bad
Yeah,
stuff.
there is.
And it's hard to escape from that. We live in such a fast-paced world where it feels hard to slow down. And then when things are hard to slow down, it's really hard to really sit in the presence of God.
Yeah.
Which I think that's intentional. The enemy's doing that intentionally.
For
but
sure.
so I wouldn't say I struggled with depression or anxiety a ton. Everyone struggles with it. At some point or another, you get lonely, you get depressed, but like obviously God's always there. So I don't know which video it is, but like part of my page, I've always kind of centered around like living more holistically and living better lives. So there's been a hint of mental health and depression or anxiety.
That's
that
just
I've always
touching on the whole
subject,
Yeah, that's what
rather
you're
than
saying.
like bringing faith into it as well.
And so we were saying before, you didn't grow up in a Christian family, so church wasn't common to you. You got saved in college.
Yeah.
And for our non-Pentecostal audience, saved, like you gave your life to Christ in college. Can you tell me that story and about how all that happened?
Yeah. So I wasn't really raised in a Christian household, but I had gone to church when I was young, like maybe 9 years old, 10 years old, which was just a little Presbyterian church right down the road from my house. But I just knew Jesus was a person. Like I didn't know he was God, and I barely knew anything except for the fact that Noah was on an ark at one point in time. Because it was all King James Bible, and I was 9 years old and I didn't know any of the words that were being said. So
thous and these.
Yeah. I mean, and to understand the depth of what it means to sin and what it means to have your sins paid for.
Yeah.
Very hard concept for a child to understand.
Yes.
But so for most of my life, I felt more agnostic than I did atheist. Rather like we're here somehow. There's no way it just comes into being without something creating us. But I just never really understood like how you could identify who created us, right? Like there's so many gods, so many religions. How do I just center on one? But my senior year of college, this was around the time of COVID. We're coming out of COVID. So 2021, things were still crazy.
Like it was mental time.
It was mental. And being on campus too, there was just a lot. So in my world, in Dakota's mind, there was so much just going on.
Yeah.
So much confusion, but also just like this deep yearning for like a deeper understanding of why any of this is happening. And so I was in a philosophy class where I enrolled in a freshman philosophy class just because I needed credits. And this isn't a class to be like, oh, hey, here's how God exists. Right? The first unit of this class was basically God versus the problem of evil. Right? The most typical
standard.
Here's why God can't exist, because evil exists. And during that time, I was going to a gym nearby that I knew the gym owner was a pastor.
Okay, that's cool.
And I followed them on Instagram, and he had put on his Instagram account for the gym saying that he needs help with his church's social media. He's like, if there's anybody out there who can help me with my church's social media, please reach out. So I reached out. I just felt something like, I need to reach out to this guy. I have skills. I wasn't a believer, but I was just like, I'm going to help you with your church.
Yeah.
So I get on a call with him. I remember where I'm sitting.
Had you had the Thief of Boredom at this time?
No.
But you enjoyed
this was in college and
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Thief of Boredom didn't come around until 2 years later.
Yeah. Wow.
So
but you obviously had an interest in social media.
Yeah. I was doing videography, photography, but it was definitely more of like a passion hobby of mine rather than like an actual thing that I offer. I was starting to build my business around this time. But so I reached out to him to help him with social media. And this was kind of when Reels were becoming a thing on Instagram, because TikTok started getting more popular. And so Instagram's like,
it was the move towards video content.
The classic copy.
It wasn't just like the stereotypical, you make graphics for your church. So I helped them out with a lot of video stuff. During this time, I just called him, just told him like, hey, I'll help you. He's like, you realize this is for my church, right? Like this isn't for my gym. This is, you're not a Christian. I'm like, nope. He goes, okay, see you Sunday. I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
So I come to his church.
No way.
And during like literally the first service that I come to, he's doing a new sermon series. It's a 6-week series called The Bible on Trial. Cool. Literally just all of the arguments I'm hearing in my philosophy class, broken down one by one
Wow.
every single Sunday. So every Sunday I'm going to this church and learning about Jesus, who I hadn't known really anything about.
Yeah.
And every Monday I'm coming into class in this debate style philosophy class in defense of a God that I didn't know, that I didn't believe in.
Damn, man. Wow.
And so by the end of it, I was saved, got baptized again, and yeah, I've been living for Jesus since.
What was that moment for you though? Like, what do you remember a moment when he was preaching that you were like, I need to surrender my life? Because clearly there was a moment where you're like, I got to do this.
Yeah, when was it like real?
Yeah.
Like when we like answers.
So I didn't ever have like a light switch moment, because it definitely, like, that 6 weeks was just like a beautiful like transitional period for me. So I think it was just like my walls were breaking down period by period, like week over week. I think one of the things that he had preached on was the historicity of like the Bible, because like you hear all the typical arguments against the Bible being like, it's such an old book written by all these old people, like how could it ever be accurate?
Right.
And then just seeing how many of these documents were actually preserved, how old they were, like the sheer quantity of documents that there are, and being like, well, they did preserve it.
Yeah.
It's not just some random pages that they put together. Like, they actually preserved this thing.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I think broke down a lot of my skepticism about like Christianity or the Bible in general, because I'm like, there's no way this can't be real. Like, with the amount of revelation that there is, the amount of miracles that were actually performed and that we have a record of, and then the references between the Old and New Testament.
Yeah.
It's just,
Especially Isaiah and the Isaiah scrolls. It's just wild, man.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I
So
think
it just like was making sense for you.
yeah, it was just clicking together.
That's
It was
crazy.
everything I needed to hear at that time too, which is obviously like God's provision.
Oh yeah, timing. Hey.
So did you just keep going to church after the 6 weeks and your pastor was like, oh, he is.
Yeah.
Is this still your same church now?
No.
Okay.
No, just, and that's purely just because of location.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
But the church I go to right now is very similar to,
Yeah,
to
okay.
that church.
Yeah.
It was just a very small 70-person church.
Have you seen Wes Huff stuff?
With Joe Rogan. I watched that podcast.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
cool.
crazy.
Hey, yeah, he's phenomenal in terms of like.
Yeah, we're not gonna have a conversation like that.
We're not, no. But we can
I'm not
pretend.
nearly
So I found this.
Yeah. We're pulling out like the thing.
Actually, on that, do you find that's also where that kind of like desire to share the Bible and stuff, because you had so many questions yourself?
Yeah.
Because it didn't sound like you're necessarily like, God can't be real.
Yeah.
You're like always kind of open to it and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that kind of, you reckon, where it comes from, the bit of your context? It is very much like, especially now.
Yeah. I also think, I think there's a massive amount of young men as well, which like primarily I try to preach to young men because that's who I am. The one thing about like personal brand or content creation too is like, you don't try to talk to someone you want to talk to, you talk to who you are. And so
Interesting.
how I try to market my content is to like other young men. Like
Fully.
I need them to hear this. Like this will change you. And there's such a message out there right now of like being the self-made man. Like you control your destiny. No one's coming to save you.
Right.
And it's a toxic message that men are not prescribing to the right ideology. And it's going to lead to a lot worse repercussions later down the line. It's like you need to actually submit to God, submit to Jesus. Here's why you can't save yourself.
Yeah. I love that tattoo too. Like deny yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take up your cross and follow me. I love that.
That was one of the biggest messages. It's funny too, because the church that I went to, that I got saved at, right before I had left that church I was moving away. They started a Bible series on Matthew, and this type of church is like, we're going verse by verse. Every week is just another verse.
Really?
They are still in Matthew, and this
was
One verse a week.
3 years ago.
That's pretty cool though. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah,
It's like
wow.
going to the depth and the meat of it.
Yeah. I mean, my church is very similar, but we do more than one verse.
Yeah.
So it's
Two.
kinda like,
You take a theme. Yeah.
because we've been in Romans for
Love
4
Romans.
months, and we still got another probably 5 months.
Yeah. That's cool though.
It's been great.
Yeah, man. Look, my other question before in terms of social media. So as your following started to grow, was there a temptation to be like, oh, I got this. Like I'm the man now. Like people follow me. Like I'm so good. Like was it? If you're being honest, was there ever a temptation to be like that? Even now, I mean, what are you up to now? 200.
221.
It's a lot of people that follow you, bro.
It is.
It's a lot of people who know
And
who
he's
you
got like
are.
40,000 in a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
43,000.
Yeah,
I
wow.
mean, if you would have told me that 3 years ago, I would have been like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Because like 3 years ago, nobody knew who I was.
Yeah.
And so there definitely is. I can't tell you a point when it kind of all became numb to me. Like, yeah, I gained 43,000. That's amazing. Like, I'm blessed, and I thank God for that. That's awesome. But also, like, I realized like this is not mine. Like, even my business is not mine. God gave it to me to steward. So like the earlier that you can just, it's weird and it's so backwards to just not accept anything in your life and feel like this is actually what God gave me. It makes it so much easier to be humble about it.
Yeah, man.
And not to get super like, I did this. This was all me. Obviously there's a certain element of like the talent that I have,
being a good steward,
skill that I have. But all of that is God given still. So like, even if I'm talented, even if I put 10,000 hours in, God gave me the chance to do that. And he, I mean, predestined me to do that. So I was going to do that. But like, I think a lot of that mentality is kind of bled into like my idea of what it means to actually be an influencer, have followers. It's not that these people are my followers. Yes. But like, God's given me this audience.
Wow.
Well, I mean, the reason I looked at Josh when he said that is because literally, I'm telling you right now, we wouldn't be sitting here today doing this. No one would be together. You guys wouldn't be here. The business wouldn't be where it's at now if I didn't say to the Lord 2 years ago, I give up doing this by myself. This business is yours. Show me how to steward it. And he gave me the blueprints to steward it. That's the reason why Kingdom Creators came about. That's the reason why I believe doors are opening with people like yourself and other people. It's like when you truly go, Lord, this is honestly, Lord, this is yours. You can take it whenever you want.
Right.
And you go, but teach me how to, like, one thing I know I'm good at and I can boast about is that I steward what he gives me well.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
And if I can just boast about that, then whatever he gives me, I know I'm going to be a good steward of it. You know, and early on it was one talent and it was like, I don't know, doing a video church news in 2008 at my church. Now it's, you know, managing a budget of $250,000 on a film set.
Right.
He could trust me with the small things. And so now when the big things come, it's like, Sam did it before. I can trust him now, you know?
I mean, that's literally a parable.
Yeah. So now I'm
there's
preaching.
a reason that you see it. Yeah, exactly.
But it's true, man. Like, it's funny. Like, I always have this thought, like, if I had this when I wanted it, I wasn't ready for it.
Right.
So true.
Now that I don't really want it and I just want to do what he wants, like genuinely, just want to do what he wants.
Yep.
He's like, okay, you can have it now. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't care or you put in no effort or you're not a good steward. You still, I mean, still bust my butt, man. Like I work late out. I'm sure you do the same. Like you go hard, but when you realize that it's his and we just get to steward what he's doing, it's actually it's a privilege.
It is 100%.
You know?
And I think like a massive shift for me when it came to my content creation and my journey with it all is the idea of like, when you're building a business and when you're making content or you're putting yourself out there and you're getting followers, it's very easy to think like I'm doing this. This is me. I have to do this and it's for me. Something that my church teaches. There's 3 ways to view people, but I'm forgetting the first way. All I remember was you can view people as machinery or you can view them as ministry. So you can view them as what can they do for you or what can you do for them? And so for social media for me now is like, what can I do for my audience?
That's so cool.
Instead of thinking like, I'm going to do this so I get followers.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to do this because they need it.
You think that's why the Lord's blessing, like 43,000 in the last 3 weeks? Like, do you think that's why?
I think, well, like seeing the DMs, seeing the comments that I've gotten, seeing the people sharing it to their stories and posting about, I needed this today. Like the Lord is speaking to me through your content. Absolutely. Right. Like, and I think this was on your podcast with Brady. He had mentioned something to the effect of like, we are in such a massive shift of how God's word gets shared.
Yes.
Because of social media. Like I've had 8.8 million views in the last 2 weeks. So like, and that's like considering the internet, like that's a low end for.
Yeah, I mean, true.
That's crazy.
Considering what 8 billion people now on Earth, how many people are on social? I think 6 billion.
8.8 million views of God's word.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
Have you had any? Like we were saying before, you get lots of DMs and stuff, but you look through them. Has anyone ever like sent you like a testimony or something where they've like actually like said you made this and it affected me this way in my life?
I can't pinpoint any of them that have been like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because they start to kind of blend. You hear a lot of the same things, which is totally fine because like my content is very similar in many ways. But my favorite messages, especially this was when I was mostly making like the Bible transition videos. Yeah. So many people messaging being like, this made me open up my Bible again.
Wow.
Like,
That's awesome.
thank you. Seeing this video made me want to read his word more.
That's so cool.
That's when it made sense to me. Like, this is worth creating.
What a joy, man.
Right.
It's a joy. Hey,
right.
It's like, I feel like for so many years I was doing it to like be the guy or be successful or whatever. And then when I finally just like, I love what you said. Like I finally just laid it down, denied myself and said, Lord, just take it. Show me how you want to do this. Yep. I remember a specific prayer I prayed about the business, and this is how Kingdom Creators even happened. I said, Lord, I've received a prophetic word, and I said, and it was like, you're going to receive heaven's blueprints for your business. And I said, Lord, I'm done doing this with my own blueprints. Give me yours. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he did that, it became a joy. Yeah. And I worked probably twice as hard. Yeah. I put twice as much energy and twice as much effort and, spending twice as much money. Yep. But it became a joy, because it's like, instead of going like, I'm being served, you're serving, Right. So it's like, there's a certain level of like energy I get from doing that, you know? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, 100%. I mean, I told you about that book that I read on the plane ride here.
Yeah.
Also, what's your crazy challenge? 100 books or something?
Yeah, 100 books that's this
insane.
year.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Are you done that?
Books?
I'm pretty behind right now. But granted, to be fair, and if anybody else wants to join me in this challenge, I would applaud.
I'll say no.
What's a book?
So the way it works, and the math works out perfectly for this, so it's got to be God-given, is that I do this with my friend. We read the whole Bible in January. So the whole Bible in the month.
Did you do that?
I got behind, but I got through like 3/4 of it.
How do you do that?
You read 2 hours a day. It's a lot of reading.
It's a lot of reading. Did he finish it?
He did, but he does this. He's been doing it for like 6 years. He's a vet.
So he's a professional Christian.
He knows how to skim.
I'm still a newbie to it.
He's like, yeah, I've read this.
Yeah. I have a Bible in a year Bible that I did for it, which I don't think I'll do it next time because I'm going to do it next year too.
Do you know which Bible in a year that one is? Do you know which brand?
It was the one from Barnes and Noble.
Oh,
I think it's for men. It's like Bible in a year for men.
Yeah, cool.
Which is not bad. It was fine. It's the translation's interesting. It's the NLT.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay.
Which is like,
I know. I like New Living, but it's
different.
It's different. Yeah.
I like.
What do you
ESV.
read? What translation do you read?
I go between ESV and CSB.
Yeah. Okay.
I started off on CSB. CSB. I like CSB. I like ESV as well. So I usually go between those two, but
English Standard I feel like is because I think that was written in the 70s, so it's like common language. Whereas like King James, we don't even use 50% of the words. So like,
what one do you read?
I'm on BSB.
BSB.
I don't know what it stands for though.
BSB?
I don't know.
BSB translation.
I'm actually New King James.
New King James. I've thought about
really.
That. I've thought about that.
But they still got ye's and stuff.
Yeah, but you know what a ye and thou means. Yeah. But I like it because I switched to it because I was through the phase with the classic pastors focusing on literal words.
Sure.
And I was like taking that, and then I realized like, oh, that isn't actually remotely true.
Yeah.
Like that word, you know what I mean? Like the whole, like the memes of the pictures, oh, but God, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's not even like in there. So I'm like, so I switched to that because I was older as well. And I just figured like, I know it's not accurate, but it gets rid of those things where I can make it about self and like, oh, I got to take this one. It's like, it's more about the context of the whole thing, which is the part you take.
BSB, just for reference, so I'm not going crazy, it's Berean Standard Bible. I'm not really sure what that means, but no, because what I usually do when I'm studying, so I come from a ministry background, we preach and ran a church. BSB is just when I'm reading the translations I feel like is the most accurate to what they're actually saying. I don't know what Berean is, but I will find out and get back to everyone listening.
I'll
but
look into that. Yeah,
BSB. So yeah, I've just found that when I read it, it's good.
But to answer the challenge,
yes.
So it's the whole Bible in January, which technically is 66 books, but I just count it as one.
Yes.
And then that would be 9 books a month for the rest of the year. So 11 months, 9 books a month. That's 100. So 99 plus 1.
Oh, so your 100 books a year is a book of the Bible?
Yes, just one book is the
Oh,
Bible.
I might be able to compete.
Oh, just reading the Bible, just all the short ones.
Yeah. Well, no. I don't know if I answered that wrong. So the Bible is just one book.
Oh, okay. So
Oh,
you
no, the
are
books in
saying
the
that.
Bible.
Sorry.
So then 9 books a month for the rest of the year.
Sorry. I thought you were saying.
No, because then you get to like
Genesis, book 1, tick.
Second John, and it's like that big.
Yeah.
Surely, like
Titus,
the
it's like 2
Bible
pages.
could count as like a couple of books.
Yeah, I
It's
could.
like, it's like thousands,
I could
over 1,000
He's just
pages.
built
but
different,
then it's
bro.
not as even for the.
And then you
whole
just like pick like 10-page little like one word books to
Right.
catch
Yeah,
up
yeah,
at the
month.
end.
Right.
That's cool.
So-
I like that. I mean, I love when I do get to read, or when I do discipline myself to read.
Yeah.
I get far more out of that than anything I'm watching or
100%.
or anything I'm.
Really
I mean, I'm
taking it
just
in.
trying to replace mindless scrolling
Yeah.
with actually something. And like, I don't want to sound like a cliche intellectual dude, but like, so like books are so cool to think like somebody in the past written.
No, it
like,
is cool.
with
I agree.
literature or like even the classics. It's crazy to think like, oh, someone 100 years ago wrote this.
Yeah.
Before ChatGPT was a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
wow.
so true.
There's just a kind of a respect for that, and then also just it's much more nourishing to your mind than whatever stupid video you're about to watch on Instagram.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
We send a lot of stupid videos to each other. Anyway, moving on
I
from
do
that.
too.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong,
bro. You might make it in
I
our.
probably
our
send more stupid
okay.
videos than you.
I don't know about that, but we can
We
definitely
just
have a
did
challenge.
Dobby video, so you might see one of
Oh
ours.
yeah, that was stupid. I was going to ask you. So you've got a course coming up. Can you tell us about that? Like, I'm keen
Yeah.
to hear what you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
So obviously you got the Thief of Boredom, the page, but you
Yep.
started doing some more other things.
Yep. So I mean, I get a ton of people that reach out to me that want to make Christian content. They obviously like my content for some reason. I have a lot of people that reach out just because of the look of my content, or how creative it is in terms of the cameras that I use or the type font that I use. Like, it's definitely got a different feel to it when you come to my page. It's not just like a normal page. There's something different. So a lot of people come to me asking like how I got that feel, how I can create content like that. And so I've decided, I get so many questions about how to get into Christian content creation, and most of my followers are Christian at this point, to make something that can help them to start making good content that they're actually proud of, that doesn't have to be the cliche Christian content, that they can actually start to form their own voice.
Cool.
Because, yeah, I mean, like, personal branding isn't about something that you build. It's something you reveal. It's yourself. And so I think more
good.
people, it's not about building something that's cool. It's just building a better life and showing it off. Not showing it off in the terms of like trying to be cocky, but more so showing how you're actually living and being authentic with that. So I'm putting together a course, which by the time this is up, it'll probably be out.
It'll be out, right? Yeah.
And I also putting together a challenge as well. So the challenge is kind of like a taste of what the course has to provide, but it'll still give you kind of that step-by-step of how to get into this thing. For the people that want to take it seriously, they'll go into the course. And then I also offer mentorship and coaching for people who really, really want to go to the next
Yeah,
level.
cool. Is it like one-on-one? Oh, really? Mostly on Zoom if they're not in Madison, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there's one person nearby from Madison that just signed up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was just recent. So yeah.
So is there a big demand? Like, are you finding that people are interested in this kind of thing? Like, do they want to join up?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, what I was teaching in my coaching, I'm now moving more into like the content space and for the creators. But before that, it was a lot of like videographers who were trying to build their video business.
Okay, right.
Using their God-given talents to actually start making an income for themselves. Mostly that was because I built my video business. So it's like I have knowledge that helps people. And seen some really great results and great testimonials from those people because
That's cool.
In my opinion, it's much, much, much easier to provide a service and get paid for it than to build an Instagram page and build an audience.
Wow.
True.
When I built my video business, I had 1,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was able to quit my job with my video business. So it's not about building a following that's what makes you the most money. It's about what do you actually provide.
It's a different game, hey?
100%.
So how do you think churches can, a lot of our audience is creative pastors, senior pastors, leaders of ministries and organizations. How can churches who aren't doing it right now, there's a handful that do it well, how can they make this shift from like just posting some photos from Sunday or whatever to actually like reaching people and reaching audiences. And then I want to hit you back because you said before in the car, you're like, I don't know if it's a good thing if like churches are just doing reels. So I want to talk about that space. How do you think churches can do it well from your vantage point?
The way that I see not only churches, but I'll just go companies and brands in general, because I think a church kind of falls underneath that niche of whatever, because they're not a personal brand. They're not just a regular person. They're an organization. Is acting like a person, is acting like a personal brand. And that's just because we relate to people. So it's more about having somebody that's like a spokesperson, which could be your pastor, but it doesn't have to be. It can be somebody who's inclined in like speaking on camera, or like being an actual relatable person on camera. And it comes from a place of authenticity rather than preaching. Like, not that Christians don't want to hear preaching, and don't get me wrong, there are a lot of messages that get spread on Instagram, and I think churches should continue to spread their sermons and messages because they're powerful. But it's also like we engage with that and we consume that so much that when you see a content that's different from preaching, it almost hits harder.
Sure.
Because it's like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Like I wasn't expecting that.
Same message, different method.
Correct. Yeah. So, and that's why I think people are drawn to my content. And that's why it does so well, is because I'm not a pastor, I'm not a church, but I can still spread a message that is effective to me, or that is present in my life,
right? That
other people are genuinely dealing with, because they are related to me in some way. I'm just a regular person. I'm just a dude from Wisconsin. I always say that. It's like, now I'm 25, but I used to say I'm just a 24-year-old dude from Wisconsin. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
you were
cool.
saying before in the car, what were you saying?
No, I meant not reels. They should definitely, I think churches post as much. I was saying, I don't know what that out goal is. This is probably more of a generalistic viewpoint of most churches' Instagram. It's just a lot of just stuff on there. And I'm like, I don't see much point in a church chasing a view count.
Oh, sure.
Like doing trending memes and stuff, like those pointless things. It's like, I don't actually know what that does in growing your church,
right?
Bringing someone to Jesus, because it's like, it's going to attach it to that trend. So people aren't necessarily going to click on the page, see the Christian content. Like maybe some people do, but I just think it's like, I'm not too sure if churches need to be concerned necessarily with that view number per se, and like chasing the trends and being like, oh, we didn't get 1 million views on that thing. And actually, second, I'm very convinced, and I haven't convinced any pastor to ever do it yet, but I honestly think pastors should re-record their messages in a podcast style and boil it down to like 5-10 minutes. And that's the stuff that should be clipped and put on reels. Because I think it'll catch a lot more eyes.
Same message, different method.
When you see someone walking on a platform preaching, it's like they can be powerful, but you're like, a lot of people skip it. You also have that disconnect that, I actually missed that. I wasn't in that room, and I'm like looking into something awesome that happened. But when it's like redone in an intimate setting, it's like, this is for you as well. And like, I haven't convinced any pastor to do it because they got 1 million jobs they're doing, right? Like trying to reach a lot.
What we're trying to do.
It's like we're trying to help with that, but it's like, that's kind of what I meant by the real thing. I definitely think they should post reels, community and stuff, but it's like
I thought you said churches shouldn't be on Instagram.
No, not at all. Get off social media. It's the devil.
I agree with that a lot too. You know, when I'm scrolling, and you'll see a lot of those churches that, you know, it's like, come to church on Sunday, and maybe it goes viral because it's like, you know, they pour the milk into the cup and like reveals it, and it's just like, you know, anyone can see that and think it's cool. But also at the same time, if it's going viral in California and you're a church in North Carolina, it doesn't matter at all.
Because it's like, this is a global platform we're posting for, like, so.
It'd be different if it was an ad. It was targeted.
But maybe I would say, like, not to push back, but to my perspective is like, I'd prefer that than like OnlyFans content. You know what I mean? Like, I prefer that. I'd prefer a church pouring milk saying, come to church, and like, it's not that effective. No one's really going to come, then like sing, you know what I mean? Then the alternative.
It's more got to do with your algorithm.
I've never seen it.
No, but to be honest though, like Instagram
doesn't give a rip.
Does not care at all. You don't know how many times I see that stuff and I go, not interested, not interested.
My wife jumps on there and does it for me too.
And it just keeps refreshing because I mean,
it's pushing what's popular.
It's all messed up.
Dude, the other day I saw a full-on video of a dude getting hit by a car and dying.
Oh yeah, Instagram.
Bro, and it popped up on my reels.
Like a day, recently that.
What happened about that? What happened with that?
I don't know. So my theory is that, because you know, like on X,
Yes.
There's a lot more that can be shown.
Unfiltered, yeah. And the pushback on Mark Zuckerberg that was like
Mark
censoring.
And I think Mark's the CEO of Meta, but also I think there's a different dude that's in charge of Instagram.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously, I think something got messed up in their algorithm
Something
that
happened,
allowed
man.
it. But also, I think they are rolling back a bit to allow more free speech, so they're getting less flack from like the American public.
Yeah, sure.
Because they've obviously not been the best in terms of censorship.
Sure.
But I think they rolled it back a little too much.
Yeah.
And it was too quick.
You got to figure it out, you know.
Update people on that, so then people are scrolling and they're not really realizing
seeing
that
these
this
wild
change came
things.
out.
There's some wild stuff out there.
Dude, I was like, I did not need to see that.
One day that was just all of that.
Yeah, okay, so this was recently. This was like the other day.
It was like 4 days ago.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Yeah. It was when we were in San Jose. I was like, I think I was going to send it to you.
I saw somebody get crushed by an elephant. Saw somebody get trucked by a hydraulic press.
So it wasn't just me.
No, everybody was seeing it. Yeah. That's why you're seeing those memes like, why am I seeing? I've seen like 6 people die today. Like, why am I seeing it? Which is terrible.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Honestly, there was one of the videos that I was like, I think it was some dude got eaten by a shark and somebody was like videotaping it from afar. And I'm like, I just watched a dude begging for his life in the water, like with a shark. And I'm just sitting on my couch.
That's
it's like this person literally went through that.
How wild is that? There's always someone like just filming.
Yeah, there's always someone with I shouldn't help.
Zoom in, it's like, what the heck?
So like, how do you, speaking about the negative side of social media, how have you had any negative experiences with it? Like, where do you see the negative side to social media? I mean, the platforms themselves are built to retain customers. So they're built to be like, oh, you like that? I'm going to give you some more. And then I'm going to get you on your phone for 6 hours a day and you're not going to see your family. So like, I mean, I got my views, but what do you think about the negative side of social media?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of positives because of like we're here, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we wouldn't be here without social media. I also think the way I'll get to that question, but I want to capture this first. Is that I've thought about this a lot, and content has completely changed. Like the way we consume media has completely changed. We don't watch TV anymore. I mean, some of us will stream stuff, but most people are coming home and they're scrolling on their phone for the rest of the night.
Yeah, that's right.
And even if they're watching something on TV, they're on their phone at the same time.
Guilty.
Yeah, I mean, everyone does it. But if you're thinking decades ago, it was radio. That's where you're consuming content, or newspapers, or books. Now those things are almost obsolete.
Yeah.
You don't see a newspaper anymore. No one listens to the radio. Even when you're in your car, you're on Spotify or Apple Music. You don't listen to the radio. You don't barely watch the news. You get your news from your phone.
Yeah.
You don't go on TV and watch the news. So all of this media is changing to social media, and I only see it becoming more and more until the point where Netflix is going to be more viewed on your phone than it is on TV.
And their content's getting shorter and shorter too.
Right.
You notice that?
You're going to start seeing like drama shows that are only like a minute long
exactly.
episodes, you know?
Yeah.
All that to say is that our consumption, we're consuming so much content that we're numb. I honestly, I feel like we're numb to experience. And that's why when you get out, and you're like, I thought about this the other day, is you don't experience quietness hardly ever in your day. I'll be sitting in my apartment, you know, and maybe my air conditioning goes off for a few seconds and it's just silent. And I'm like, this is the only time I hear silence in my day. If I'm not wearing headphones, if I'm not outside talking to people, if I'm not watching content all day, it's like this 30 seconds is the only time it's quiet. Before maybe even not going to bed too. People watch TV while they're going to bed, or they'll put on, you know,
have music on or something. Yeah.
So I think the bad part of social media and how it's taken over our generation is just this fact that it almost forces you to rush your life because you're comparing yourself to everyone all the time, because everyone's posting about their life all the time. And even with my followers, I guarantee there's people comparing themselves to me, thinking like, oh, I got to catch up because look at this dude. Where in reality, if you watched a recording of my day, you're probably not wanting to be like me. You know what I mean?
You should, that's your next reel.
Yeah.
Here's my day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that comparison just really hurts us, because
Yeah,
I think
it
not only it hurts our relationship with each other, because it's just like we're constantly feeling like we don't have enough in our lives, so we can't actually fully experience and have happiness in our day, thinking like, oh, someone else is in Maui right now surfing, and I'm at work, and like, well, is the meaning of life you being in Maui surfing? Or
so true.
Not to say like I love my life, like God's given me a great life, and there's definitely people who I think are in rougher positions that when they come home and they watch somebody else doing something, they almost like watching vicariously through them. But in reality, I feel like they'd be better off not even knowing. You know?
Agree.
It's tough to think of the ramifications this will have years down the line with our kids.
Our kids, man.
How they
I'm
grow
worried.
up.
Yeah, I do get worried.
But it's weird being in our age where we grew up before it. And then in the middle of our lives, it comes into our life. So we have a little perspective on what life was like when you could still be bored.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But
You
even
can't
like
be bored
we were
anymore.
having this conversation in the car about like LAN parties. Remember Xbox LAN parties, right? And I still feel like video games in 2010 are different to what they are now. Like I feel like maybe the colors and the attention grabbing and like the goals that you need to meet in the video games are so like quick grab dopamine hits. Whereas back then it was more about being together, killing each other on Call of Duty. But you know what I mean? Like it felt, back then it felt different. And there's been a shift where it's like, instead of making something for, you know, Super Smash Brothers for the fun of getting together and having fun, now it's like, we got to keep people hooked because there's so much noise.
Well, games today too are designed for content. They're designed for streamers because that's where they're going to get the majority of their views to get the majority of their sales. So game design is changing because they're appeasing to what streamers want. And so it's going to be like the quick hits that they can get for good content.
Yeah, like crazy stuff. And also like there's a big shift at like before online, it was all about the campaign. Like you had to have a great campaign and all that stuff. But now it's like everyone still does it and it still matters to a video game, but it's
you
like,
got to get people to post about it.
Yeah, it's like actually it's about the online experience. Like there's games that just popped off with no campaign. But it's all an online experience now because it's like you're versing people all over the world. So it's like the shift has changed.
Do you guys practice silence?
I've done it more recently.
It's pretty special.
When I read in my apartment, I very rarely use music at this point. Because most people, it's like, oh, you put on your music.
Oh, really?
Lo-fi music and read. Or put on headphones. If I'm in public, I'll probably wear headphones because it's just easier for me to actually focus. But if I'm in my apartment, I don't need noise. It's just silent. And not only does that help me like take the stimulation out of my brain that I very much need, but yeah, practicing rest and being with God and quiet is necessary. It's not even like helpful, it's necessary for me.
Completely agree. A few years ago I started going away camping by myself, and just like 2 nights and no cell service. Don't take headphones, turn my phone off, and it's crazy. 5 minutes in silence and rest, you know,
you're like
it's
itching.
something. You're like, I mean, it
phone.
probably takes me the first day to be honest, just to stop grabbing something, doing something, moving. But then when you sit and rest and you're truly I can hear him so clearly, you know, like I'm listening to the ocean and I feel like it's him singing. Like I really do. And I think like I worry about that for my girls and for my kids, like growing up in this fast paced, and then I mean we can talk about AI and all of that stuff. I worry that because my temptation has been, I'm getting off Instagram, I'm getting off social media, right? But I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know if getting off social media is the actual answer. But how do we live? It's just like the classic question. How do we live in the world but be not of the world? It's really difficult.
Something I'm coming to learn is that I think what social media has done, and it really also depends on your personality. Like I think I have a very addictive personality. So if there's something I'm interested in, I want to learn everything about it. I want to become the best at it. And this is why I was big into video games when I was younger. It's like a new video game comes out and I'm watching every tutorial and I'm trying to get the best at that game that I possibly can. And that's how I fell in love with like videography and photography too, is because like I wanted to learn everything. I watched so much about it. I created so much. And that's just a consequence of like how I'm wired. It's like I get interested in something, like I could have 100 hobbies in a week. And it's like what social media has done is it's allowed you to kind of have these hobbies like all the time, like whether it's the people that you're following or whatever, or like the type of content that you like and you just want more of it, more of it, more of it, more of it. But you can never really get rid of that like instinct of like wanting more.
Sure.
You have to replace it. And the only thing that you can replace it with that's actually going to like fill your soul is the Lord.
Yeah, so true, man. There's something that you said before and it keeps sticking with me. You were like, people need to get an idea of like who they are before they make their content. You said something like this.
Yeah.
My question is like, how do people do that? Because a lot of the time, and I wrestle with this even now, like the content that we put out, am I just copying something that I think that other people have done?
Yeah.
Is it truly me? Is it truly us? How would you say to people like, to find their true authentic self? So then once they do that in the Lord, they can then share, authentically.
Yeah. Luckily, at least for me, I think I've always had a pretty good sense of self-awareness growing up and even now. And that's helped me to really understand my strengths, my weaknesses, where I thrive and where I don't. And I think if you don't have that self-awareness, which it's going to be hard for you to identify if you don't have self-awareness. Like, that's a very hard thing to identify. Yeah. But I think you'll kind of, there's a lot of people who don't know what they're good at. And if you don't know what you're good at, ask your friends. It's like, hey, if you had if just from your presentation of me and what you know me by, what do you think I'm good at?
Yeah, that's
like,
a good question to ask.
You've known me my entire life. Like, what do I excel in? And it could be something really simple as like, Dakota, you're very, very helpful at church. Like you always are the one that picks up after everyone else. It's like, okay, so
is that true?
I mean, I can carry like 4 chairs at a time.
2 on each
the
shoulder.
gun show.
Okay. Are you guys bumping in and out of your church?
No.
Oh, okay. So you're not doing that.
No, but we do have men's breakfasts on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah.
But so if you don't understand your strengths, I think just journaling and writing down a bit of like literally strengths and weaknesses. If you know yourself, if you don't know yourself, this is going to be very helpful in understanding like what do you excel at and what maybe you might be doing better than other people. And then I mean, you probably heard of the term unfair advantages. Basically, what's in your life that you have that maybe not anybody else has. This could be your location. Could be where you live. If we're in Colorado right now, it's like, okay, I have beautiful mountains outside. That's not something that everyone else has. Where I live in Wisconsin, it's like, I'm probably not filming outside in mountains anytime soon.
A nice lake or something.
So identifying the things in your life that are really, really abnormal and maybe they're cool that other people want to also experience is very helpful in differentiating your content from somebody else. If you don't have any of those things, then it's your personality. Like you are the only person that can be you is you. The only person that can be me is me. And on my account, like what I try to be myself. I don't try to be anybody else. Now, obviously, content, I take inspiration from people.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Everyone does. No, there's not a single person that's just like making things completely originally. Now, there are creators, I think, that are like changing the game and they're doing things so much differently than others. They still have people that inspired them. Like, I don't know. Do you know who Gox is?
No.
You gotta look this guy up. He's insane.
Yeah.
He's like, honestly,
like GOCK?
GAWX. Look him up on YouTube.
Okay. Yep.
Crazy dude. He's just one of the most creative people I've ever seen in my life. But so many people on Instagram are taking. Yep.
You follow him.
Show me a photo. Oh, he's the guy.
Yeah,
he's good.
Is he?
Yeah, he's so good. And so many people on Instagram, if you watch a few of his videos, you'd probably be like, oh, I've seen videos like this before, because they're all copying him. But the thing is, like, if you look at his content, he takes, so you can tell like this guy loves either Wes Anderson or what's the dude, Edgar Wright, I think is his name.
Okay, yeah.
The one that films like Hot Fuzz and all those movies that are very like center frame type of things.
Yeah.
So he's obviously taking inspiration from those types of directors or creators, but now he's talking about his interests. So he's a big artist. Like he's great at drawing, and obviously he has a passion for filmmaking, and he is in Mexico, something like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
so
right.
he's got like a very original upbringing that most people don't have, that he can just share and people find interest in. So for me, like I'm, like I said, 25-year-old dude from Wisconsin. What can I do that's interesting to people? I mean, it's not going to be really anything outdoorsy because I'm not really an outdoorsy guy. So it's not going to be fishing or hunting. Not saying you can't do that, but I can't do that. It's not me.
Yes.
Otherwise, it just wouldn't be like
be
authentic.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to have like more of a minimal, I don't want to call it hipster feel to it, but also in more of a masculine way. Like I'm a man.
Yeah.
Like, not making feminine Christian content. It's like man, and you just don't see it. Like there was a lack in the market of it, and I kind of just filled that lack. So I guess my answer to how can people find their voice is really just identifying what you're good at, what you're bad at. Whatever you're bad at isn't always like something you can't share. Sharing your weaknesses, sharing your flaws, that's what's going to help build a relatable audience. Because if I'm just sitting here showing off the perfect life, people are going to think there's no way this dude's real. Like there's something about it that's superficial. Our nose, we have a detector for crap now. BS. You know, it's not all just like cliff diving. Cliff diving and jumping out of helicopters and like, here's how I'm driving a Lamborghini. Like so many people are so skeptical of that now because it's very superficial.
Sure.
And especially if you're a Christian. I mean, like, why are you, is that what you're showing off?
Yeah,
like, I mean,
it's true.
So
we don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
You saw the thoughts in my head.
I literally watched that happen. You're like, that's maturity.
Let's.
No, trust me. You don't want me down there. We just went through
a whole story in our heads in about 2 seconds.
Oh yeah. I already know the names you would bring up, but anyway, yes. No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Hey, what about people who? I mean, you got a significant following. So 200,000, 200-something thousand people following you. What about people, young people? Maybe they starting to grow an audience, or they want to do this whole social media thing. I think every kid does. What sort of advice would you give them? Like to not focus on, or what sort of advice would you give them if they're trying to grow their audience?
Yeah. I think the best advice anybody can take on social media is honestly, it's not that you have to be original, but it's that you have to be authentic. And there's a difference between being original and authentic. Like original kind of claims that like nobody's ever done this before.
That's a huge claim.
Very. And for very good reason. Like that's very, very hard.
Yeah.
There's only one Nike. There's only one Apple. The chances of you being that is very, very slim. So to give you the best odds, it's not to be original, it's to be relatable and authentic. It's being somebody that people can actually relate to.
Very good.
Because the reason people follow me isn't that I'm Nike or that I'm Apple, and I don't view myself that way either. They follow me because there's something about me that they relate to. And if I was a perfect person, they couldn't, and I will never be, they couldn't relate to that, and then they would find my content less helpful. So beyond being just authentic, it's also helping people. So whether it's like honing in on an aspect of your life that you are trying to get better at. For instance, there was a dude on TikTok that built his whole page. It's a Christian page, but he targets men and he targets lust. And he says, he makes a ton of content about porn, about how it's a bad addiction that you should get out of it. And so all of his content is almost targeted to men and how to get out of a porn addiction. Not saying that you have to go and make a account and make it all about getting out of a porn addiction, but like understanding what in your life can you actually help other people with. And just putting it out there that you've done this is helpful. And it doesn't mean that you have to come out there and be like, here's 5 tips to read your Bible every day. It's great stuff. But also at the same time, what I've come to realize, and which is why I've gained 40,000 followers over the last 2 weeks, is I stopped making how-to things and it's how I. So all of the hooks in any of my content,
That's going in the trailer.
here's here's what God's showing me about my
cool.
creative
Yeah,
journey.
I love that, man.
Here's how I did this.
Is there more zoomed out a thought of like just a Christian creative that is like trying to figure out what they're going to do with their life? Like you're drawn to content creation quite early, but is there something you would like encourage them with at all to be like, you should seek this or something if they're like, what do I actually do or how do I do it? Like not necessarily content creation.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are just drawn to content creation. I think honestly, doesn't matter what you're drawn to in your creative journey. Everyone should make content because like even just the most random videos that I watch on YouTube, I love watching this one dude. He's a woodworker.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
He makes the
Big tables and
coolest
stuff?
tables.
Yeah, I think
You've
I've-
probably seen
yeah,
him.
I've
I
seen
think his
him.
name's like Blacktail
Yeah, yeah, I've
Studios.
seen
He's
him.
getting a
Oh, and
shout
they're pouring in
out.
that like thing
Pouring
and
the resin in.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
resin.
yeah.
That's
So cool. They're like 40-minute videos. They're
Yep.
nothing crazy. You don't
Yep.
have to be a filmmaker. Anyone
Yep.
can do that. But he's doing something.
Showcasing.
This is what I'm saying. Unfair advantage. His talent is obviously
True.
woodworking, and he has a shop that he can use.
Yeah.
And he knows how to do it. And
cool.
all he has is general camera equipment.
Yeah.
There's nothing crazy. And he just records the whole process. And it gets 8 million views
Yeah,
on
yeah.
making a table.
Yeah,
He probably
yeah.
makes way more money on that YouTube video alone
Yes.
than that table ever brought in.
100%. He'd probably give away the table for free.
Exactly.
so
And he
cool.
can just
Yeah.
because the content is so valuable.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm watching this as a 25-year-old dude out of Wisconsin before I fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, cool. I'll never make that table.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he did. And I
Yeah.
want to watch him do it.
Yeah.
So even if you're not like inclined in like videography or video editing, you don't have to be. You can just do simple cuts
Yes.
of whatever you're doing, but record and document your journey. If it's drawing, if it's woodworking, if it's graphic design, any of it is valuable to people. And it doesn't even have to be graphic designers or woodworkers, because I'm just some random dude watching a dude make a table.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
because
True.
it's interesting to me.
Yeah. So true. Okay, final-ish question, or like as we're leading to the end. What do you see the future of Christian, kingdom-minded creatives? How do you see them operating through the church, outside the church? I mean, you do both. You obviously serve at your church and you know, help them where you can, but you also run this page that sits outside of your church, outside of your local church. How do you see creatives, you know, making an impact? I guess the premise of my question is typically it's been like, okay, I'm making content on Instagram and then like it's removed from, you know, the local church. Whereas we really believe the local church is so vital to the believer and to local communities.
Yeah.
How do you see creatives out working their God-given gifts and stewarding what the Lord's given them? How do you see in the future of the changing landscape of social media and everything that's going on, AI? I mean, we didn't even touch on AI today, but how do you see creatives actually tapping into their God-given gift?
You're not asking about the church, but more so creatives.
Yeah. I'm talking about creators, but I just know, like, I guess that's why I said the
Within
premise.
the church, probably.
Yeah, I think the premise of my question is that, like, I think it's both.
Sure.
Do you think it's both, and how do you see them doing that?
You think it's both how?
So for example, what's an example? Okay, well, we're talking about it in the car. You run this, you know, now a large social media page, and you're doing amazing things in your personal, you know, Monday to Saturday. But on Sundays, you're setting up chairs at the men's breakfast, and you're, you know, offering advice, you know, to your church and how you can be involved in helping the local church get better at their socials. Like, I would say most creators I talk to, it would be one or the other. Either I'm like, I just do my gift at church,
Sure.
and then I don't do it outside,
Yeah, it's
or I
almost
just
like-
do my gift at, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
I just have this social media or YouTube channel, and like, yeah, the church is like, I attend, but nah.
Yeah.
I see an intersection of the two.
Yeah.
Also,
know?
to piggyback on that, like you even mentioned, it's like, how do you like, I know a lot of Christians will be like their end goal, if they're creative, they get saved. And they're like, how do I just work for the church?
Yeah.
How do I just get employed? Whereas you like decided not to, you know what I mean? Like you got saved and then you're like, actually, I'm not going to keep
Whereas
working
I think
for this
you'd be a
church.
phenomenal preacher, by the way, just like hearing you talk.
Yeah. I've thought about it.
Yeah, I think you should.
I honestly,
If you get an
like,
opportunity, you should.
I want to, this is a goal I have, is to go to something like a seminary.
That's cool.
Not with the intention of like, I'm going to become a pastor,
No.
I'm going to become a priester. It's more just to learn. And
You
if
should.
God
Cool.
presents the opportunity that I could become a preacher of some sort.
I mean, I think you're doing it now.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Anybody can preach a message.
For sure. Yeah.
And you don't have to go to school for that. And I hope like throughout this episode or whatever I talked about, even at the beginning of my journey where I didn't feel confident in speaking on camera, it doesn't mean you have to shy away from it.
No.
And I've made videos getting on camera and preaching a message. If I really do feel convicted about it and I think that I can convey it in an actual good way. But I know that a lot of people lack public speaking. A lot of people lack being able to speak on camera. Is not easy.
No, it's not easy.
Once you see that little red button go off, your mind shuts off, right?
I forget sometimes people struggle doing
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
We've been doing it for
so long.
Yeah,
It's
if
like,
you see my first videos, terrible.
how goes the comment of people like, how do you watch yourself back? I'm like,
I
you just remove yourself from it because if you don't, no one will.
Yeah. So I think there are a ton of obviously creative people within the church. And I hate that this is a reality, but most people, I'd say like 90% of people say, I could never do that. I'm not creative, right? Well, I can't even draw a stick figure. You know, you hear it all the time. People claim they're not creative, but I just disagree. I think every single person is creative in their own way. And if you looked at their life and you saw the things they're doing, even one of my best friends, he was my college roommate. He's an accountant. You should see some of the Excel spreadsheets he's built for himself. And I'm like, dude, I could never do that. Like, you can't make a photo look as good as mine, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
And that's really creative.
Yeah.
So I think it's just understanding where you're creative.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's not that you're not creative. It's just that you might be creative in a different area that most people wouldn't expect it to be creative. And realizing that there's more ways to serve than just in the church. I think you can serve in all areas of your life. Like the Bible preaches everywhere that it's, the church is hardly talked about in the Bible. It's serving people.
Yeah.
Like
That's
the
awesome.
people are the goal. It's not the church.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, really cool.
for those of you in the church or you're creative and you're just like, I want to use my God-given talents to serve, think of it that way.
Yeah.
It's to serve. It's not just when an opportunity comes up in church, I'm going to use it. It's like there's opportunities daily for you to be using this. And if you're creative and you're like, oh, I only want to serve creatively, I implore you, just try something else. Like, it doesn't matter if you're just opening doors for people. You're called to serve. You need to be a servant. And if you don't know how to do that, I'm going to recommend the book that I told you that I read on the way here. It's called Spiritual Slavery to Spiritual Sonship by Jack Frost. The Jack Frost. Yeah. Phenomenal book.
Yeah.
And near the end of that book, it just hits home on how important serving is. Beyond just church, it's just sitting under authority. I mean, even Jesus gave John the authority to baptize him.
That's right.
This is God being like, you're going to baptize me.
Yeah.
If you think you're so stuck up and that you can't serve under people, you're not in the right mindset. You got to change your mindset.
100%, man. Yeah, I always see it as like a, when the Lord pours things out, there is oftentimes a structure to it, and there is oftentimes like, if you're able to submit, I feel like the Lord goes, I can work with that.
Right.
Yeah, so true.
Oftentimes creatives don't like to submit. They don't like the word submit. Even when I say that, people are probably like, because it can be abused.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be mistreated.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think I've got 3 mentors in my life, spiritual fathers. I've said, anything you want to say, tell me, I won't do it. I'll bring every big decision to you.
Yep.
I need that. Otherwise,
so true.
it's going to get rogue, But to finish off, I just feel to encourage you. I
got a question as well. Sorry,
yes.
just one more.
Well, I feel to do this first. I actually feel like there's going to be moments very soon for you where there's opportunities to preach. There's opportunities to share God's word in a traditional way. God's going to give you a different way to do it. And I just feel to encourage you now for when that opportunity comes, or it might already be here, to be courageous, be strong and courageous, because what the Lord's put in you, and I go back to same message, different method. I feel like you're going to apply a different method to how things have been done. And it's going to be preaching. I saw you preaching on a stage. And I just feel now to just encourage you and say like, just be strong and courageous and do that thing that makes you like nervous. What are people going to think? Like, how's this going to go? I just really feel like there's going to be a moment that comes soon, or it might be coming now, and to lean into that.
Yeah.
Be strong and courageous, because the Lord's, maybe you've had doubts, or inadequacies of feeling not good enough to do that, or not equipped enough. And seminary is great, but I just feel to just say like, the Lord has called you, and now is the time.
Yeah.
The hour is near.
Yeah.
And when it comes, be strong and courageous. Just feel that, man.
That reminds me of a message I was thinking even on the way here, in terms of like content creation or creativity. The enemy wants to tell you that you have to be perfect to post.
Oh, that's
It's
good.
like, nobody's perfect.
Nah.
Yeah.
And
No
you-
way.
You don't become perfect, and there's no way for you to become perfect. So if you wait until you feel like you're perfect to post, you're never going to post.
Yeah, 100%, man.
You know, Dakota, since sitting here, what I've loved, I've been reminded of a quote which we heard the other day, which is, your best fruits grow on other people's trees. And I just feel like what your life has been dedicated to for the last couple of years and everything is like, you're helping people, right? Like through so many things. And I guess also the question then, like almost near the end, Dakota, what are you looking in the future, like 5 years down? What do you hope that God's plan for the fruits on your tree are? Like what's your goals down there? What are you hoping to see and spread? And I know through your content, it's like, it's not just your tree that's getting affected. It's like, because of your reach, it's like you're affecting so many other people's trees that is just going to be full of so much fruit, which is just so awesome.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do you feel like God's placed in your heart, which is like, you know what? I can't see this yet. I don't have this yet, but I'm just praying into it.
Yeah.
What is that for you?
I think for my account, you could call it a ministry if you would. I feel like a lot of people would claim that what I have is a ministry. And I also
Definitely.
agree with that. I think
is. God's
God's allowed me to steward this ministry in some way or another, even though it's not like I'm hosting like Bible studies or whatever.
Yeah.
I truly feel called to helping other Christians start using their creative gifts in some way or another.
Awesome.
Whether it's to serve or whether it's just to create something that they're happy with, that they don't have to feel like I'm bottling up all of this creativity and I'm not being able to use it. So I really love, like, you have the goal, I think it's to help 10,000 churches in 10 years.
Yeah.
It's a wild goal.
That is a wild goal.
Yeah.
Crazy.
My goal is to help 1,000 Christian creatives
Wow. That's
start
awesome.
using their creative talents, whether it's to build their own business or if it's just to start posting content on Instagram and building an audience that way. But in my mind, even if you're just building a business, if it's a video business or whatever, and it's not like I'm working with churches or I'm working with non-for-profits, you could be a Christian videographer working with the coffee shop down the street. How you serve them is a
cool.
direct reflection of God.
Yeah.
And if you're showing up to them, if you're being kind, if you're just going above and beyond for them,
Yeah.
and they notice there's something different about you, it's just a bigger opportunity to glorify God.
That's awesome.
It doesn't mean that you have to use your gift only to serve the church. You can use it to serve your community.
Very good.
Absolutely think you should, because the community needs you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The church isn't the only place that needs
Be
you.
the church.
Right. And I think like one of the bigger things that I thought actually a couple days ago was this fact that the more that you try to control the outcome of your situation, the less glory that you can give to God.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
So
because
true, man.
God's going to solve it.
So true.
And if you're out of control and you don't see the way that it's going to work out, but it works out, imagine how much glory you give to God.
Yeah. That's where he needs us. He needs us out of control in a way, you know, like, because he's like, I've got this.
Well, I mean, I was watching this podcast. I think it's Andrew Williamson. No, Chris Williamson. You probably know him.
Yeah. I know Chris Williamson. Yeah.
He was talking about if you had to go somewhere, if you had to go a mile away, you'd probably walk, right? It's just a mile. But if it was 2 miles, you'd probably take a car and you'd get there faster than walking the 1 mile, which is basically just to say most people, if they're in a situation that it's not bad enough that they really need to make a change, they'll kind of stay where they are or they'll walk slowly. But if it gets worse, they'll make a change more quickly. So often, I think a lot of us as Christians, we get stagnant, we get complacent in our lives. It's like, oh, we're a little comfortable. it's not bad enough that I really need to make a change. Whereas when you hit rock bottom, it's like the only change I can make is depend on God.
Yeah.
I think, who was it? Mother Teresa, I think it's Mother Teresa. She said, it was only when I had nothing that I realized God was everything. And it's like, that's so true.
All right.
Jeez.
So true.
It's so true, bro.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to end.
That's a pretty good mic drop.
I was literally saying to Josh in the car on the way to pick you up, we were just chatting, and like I said, my wife was just encouraging me the other day, which was so lovely. And she's like, I just feel like, you're just so strong in the Lord and you lead us so well and you do all these things. And it got me thinking, it's like, because I didn't grow up in a Christian family, like grew up in a single parent household, and my mum did the best she could, but we had it pretty rough. And I think early on when I got saved, when I was 12 or 13, I had to rely on God.
Yeah.
I didn't have an option.
Yeah.
Whereas my wife, she grew up in an amazing Christian family, and her parents are the best, and she kind of had everything she needed. And it did cause, she would say this caused complacency in her relationship with God, because she kind of had what she needed.
Yeah.
Whereas I had to do that work early on in my life to truly trust him. Because if I didn't trust him, I literally didn't really have much else. And I'm always on the pursuit to go, how much can we dream? How much can we trust God? That's out of our control. This whole 10,000 churches in 10 years, Josh was mowing the lawn and he got that. The Lord downloaded that to him.
Yeah.
And I said, I feel the Lord on that. So we're going to do it. I have no idea how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I have ideas, and I'm going to steward what's in front of me and go, God, this is what we've got. We've got Dakota in front of us right now. How can we steward this? How can we do it? I'm not going to be lazy, but there's like an excitement when you're out of control and he's so in control. He's like, you're right where I need you.
Right.
So I love that, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, how can people find you you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram?
Yep.
How can people find you?
So I'm on YouTube, Instagram primarily. I deleted TikTok, so I'm not on TikTok.
Okay, yeah.
Thief of Boredom.
Thief of Boredom. Okay, great.
Awesome.
Well, I feel like this is the first of many.
Yes.
I feel like I need to bring you to Australia.
I'd be happy to.
So we're
If I must.
if
I must.
I promise you now, we will do something.
Yeah, it'll happen.
But man, I'm so grateful that you said yes, and you're like, these two dudes want to fly me out. Cool, let's just
It
go
was like
do it.
4 days. Like I've known this guy for 4 days.
Yeah, literally. And it's just, but I do feel like there's a connection here, and I love.
I think
what
I was
you're
cooking
doing.
I was cooking a steak or
Yeah, he was
something.
cooking
I
a
was like in
steak.
the background. I'm like, oh, hey man, I'm like cooking. Yeah, I'm like, I'll see.
Yeah. And I just messaged. I'm like, hey, would you be keen? And yeah, it was just, I just feel like it's a God connection, and yeah, you're doing an amazing job, bro. And it's just so cool to know you. It's awesome.
It's been awesome. Thank you for obviously the invite.
Yeah, of course.
Getting me here.
We're gonna say something.
No, it's all good.
All
I'm
right.
just overspeaking. I was just saying we should probably go practice silence in the mountains.
We should.
With the sunset.
We're going to go do silence at Boulder. Then we're going to go to the snowy mountains. But anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Peace out. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Just remember, if you click that little subscribe button, it will help so much get these episodes out to people who need to hear it. And we receive messages all the time of like, thank you so much, exactly what I needed to hear. This is amazing. And so that's what that does. Would you also connect with us on Instagram, connect with us on our website, our emails on there. We would love to connect with you. What I'd also love for you to do is to jump into the comments on the reel and just let us know, who would you love to see on the podcast? Who's the ideal person to sit down for a chat on Kingdom Creatives? And we'll do our best to get them. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.